Hello, my name is Tom Harrod, and I'm the Associate Director for Reference, Instruction, and Access at the Himmelfarb Health Sciences Library. And in this session, I want to give you a brief introduction to the library. Here's an outline of what I'm going to be covering. First, I'm going to talk about getting access to the physical library. Then I'm going to look at some of our online resources, how to get access to those when you're off campus. Then I'm going to talk about statistical software as well as digital news subscriptions that you have access to. And then I'll finish by talking about how to get help. The first thing that I want to talk about is getting into the physical library. So the library is located on the first floor of Ross Hall, which is right across from the GW Hospital, right next to the metro station. To get into Ross Hall, you will either need a physical GWorld card, the actual card, or you can get the GWorld mobile card. And I have a QR code here, which will bring you to a web page that will walk you through the steps to get the mobile card on your phone. You will need, again, the physical card or the mobile card to get into Ross Hall, and then also to get into the library. There are security gates at both entrances. There are 4 floors of the library. There's the basement, which is our book collection, our main book collection for circulating books. The first floor, which is where you enter, has group study space and our circulation desk. And the second floor has silent study space, which is rooms and tables. And then similarly on the third floor, there's also silent study space. At our circulation desk, you can check out chargers. We have phone and laptop chargers. You can also check out whiteboard markers and erasers to be used in one of the many whiteboards that we have in the library. We also have a 3D printing service, and this QR code here will bring you to a website with a description of our 3D printing service. And the next thing I want to do is to show you the Himmelfarb library website. So the URL is here, and also I have a QR code. So let's go ahead and go to the website right now. So here I am on the library webpage, himmelfarb.gwu.edu, and the first thing I want to do is search for a book and show you how to access those. So this is the search bar for our catalog up here. I'm going to type in my topic and press enter. And on the subsequent page, you'll notice the results, and many of them are available online. So for instance, this one here, I could just press available online and it would bring me to an electronic copy. Some are in print. So like this 5th one, you'll see if I wanted this book, I would actually have to go to the book stacks, which again is in the basement of the library, and here is the call number for that. The next thing I want to talk about is finding articles. So I'm going to go to PubMed, and I've done a search. And I'm not going to talk about how to use PubMed. I assume that's familiar to most people. I'm going to click on an article, and on the subsequent page, I want to show you how to actually get the full text through our collection, though. And that is through one of these links in the upper right. So you see the JAMA link, or this article is in PubMed Central, so it's available there. Or there's this Find It at Himmelfarb button. I could click on any of those, and it's going to bring me to electronic access for the article. However, we do not have everything in our collection, so you will occasionally run across articles that we don't have in our collection. They're in journals that we don't subscribe to. However, you can still get access through our interlibrary loan service, which is called Documents to Go. That's located right here. So you'll see this icon right here of an envelope with a piece of paper called Documents to Go. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to log in. And this is just my normal GW user ID and password. So if there were an article that I had identified that I wanted, but we don't, the Himmelfarb Library doesn't have access, I can create a new request article and then fill in the information and submit the request. You get 30 free interlibrary loan requests per year, and the turnaround time is usually 2 to 3 business days. Meaning, from the time you submit the request until you actually have access to the PDF. Sometimes it's even sooner than that. The next thing I want to look at is some of the point of care tools that we have. So you'll see on the left side of the screen our popular resources box. And so you'll see, for instance, Dynamed is one of the point of care tools that you have access to through the library. So I'm going to click on Dynamed and let that open up. And so I can look up, let's say, obstructive sleep apnea in children. And here's the entry for that. So probably point of care tools are familiar to you, but this is one that we have access to is Dynamed. So you have access to that one. A similar one is Epocrates Plus. There's also Lexadrug, so that's drug information, of course. So if I click on Lexadrug, I can go there and look up a drug, let's say propranolol, and get information from Lexidrugs about that. So you have access to those via the web version, which are linked here, but also you can get a mobile app version of those. So to do that, I'm going to go to the resources dropdown tab here at the top. You'll see we have multiple drop-downs, and about halfway down is a link for mobile apps. So again, resources, mobile apps. And on this page, if I follow these links, I can get directions on how to actually download the app version of those point of care tools onto my phone. The next thing I want to talk about is some other specialized software that we make available to patrons. One of those programs is RefWorks. So that is a bibliographic management program. So if you've ever used EndNote or Zotero, RefWorks is the one that we subscribe to and have access to. So if you already have a program that you use and you're using it successfully, EndNote, Zotero, I would recommend just keeping with that. But if you do not currently have a bibliographic management program that you're using, I want to recommend RefWorks. In order to get more, or one way to get more information about RefWorks is to look up our guide on RefWorks. So in the center of our screen, you'll see the research guide search bar. I'm going to write in RefWorks and search. And I can just click on the link here, and here's a page we have with a lot of different tabs on the different functionalities of RefWorks to help you learn more about that, or you can contact the library for help as well. Another program we give access to is called Covidence. So if you've ever done a systematic review, you might be familiar with Covidence. That's right here. That is software that is specifically for performing systematic reviews. Similar to RefWorks, we have a guide for Covidence. So I'm going to search Covidence here, and that's going to bring me to this page again with tabs that will bring me through the different functionalities of Covidence. But again, if you are doing a systematic review, I want to highly recommend the use of Covidence. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is some software that's available to you through GW's IT department. It's not through the library, but through the IT department. So I'm going to start at Google, and I'm just going to Google GW Virtual Computer Lab. You can see it autofills for me. And I go to that link, Virtual Computer Lab from GW, and it's going to bring me to this page where I can log in. And you can do this from anywhere. Once I log in, it brings me to a desktop that looks like this. And there's a lot of software here that you have access to. So statistical software, you can see here, and other types of software, programming, ArcGIS, and so forth. Another thing that I want to show is how you can get access to Microsoft 365 through GW. So I'm just going to Google Microsoft 365 GW, and it's going to bring me to this page, and this again is through GW's IT department. And if I follow the links on this page, it'll get me access to Office 365. So just to point that out. Another thing that I wanted to point out was the availability of digital news subscriptions. So this, if I Google digital news subscriptions, GW digital news subscriptions, it's going to bring me to this page. And this is not through the Himmelfarb Library, but it's through the undergraduate library on campus. So I can click on that. And on this page, there are directions for how to get access to the New York Times, Washington Post, and others. Again, this is through the undergraduate library, but it is available to you as well. So the last thing I want to mention is getting help from the library. So there are a number of ways of doing that. One is calling our phone number. So that's listed here, 202-994-2962. For quick questions. If you have a more involved question or you want help on like a literature search or a systematic review project or something like that, you can feel free to email us at himmelfarb@gwu.edu. So that's listed here. We also have a quick chat feature that's accessible during the day, during the week from basically 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. And that can be accessed from any of our web pages through this Ask Us button. So I would press chat now if I wanted to connect with a librarian. And so those are some options for getting help from the library. So I hope that is helpful and useful to you, and best of luck at GW.